fall. You can check it out at the greenfoodsolutions.com events section on our website. But strawberries are an awesome thing to grow at home and over the summer, particularly now that we're entering the growing season. Cucumbers. These are some women who decided to start growing and started a small business out of doing so. So, you can start on all different levels. This is a restaurant, again, for some beautification, and they use that food as well. This is in Chicago O'Hare Airport. So they, as we're doing it as a PR effort, to show their sustainability goals as an airport. And they ended up saving a tremendous amount of money, actually, because apparently, just like you and me, all the food that goes delivered to the restaurants and the airports have to go through TSA and security. So all that labor and time associated that completely went away. So our business model is really just showing companies, people, residential buildings, how they can start growing food as a way to empower a local food system, but also it can actually be a really nice way to bring awareness, education, and even can be used as a really good business as well. So we look to support people in all different methods of how they're looking to grow. This is a regional farm. We help with greenhouse planning and design, again, all for free. So anyone interested in starting a farm, let us know. And again, I was mentioning we have a Grow at Home series that's coming up tomorrow at 12 to 1. You can come check it out. And a lecture is going to show you actually our home tower now here in our apartment in Jersey City. So we can come check that out.
Okay, so I'm going to stop the share here.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Very impressive. Very impressive.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, we'll show the tower and then we'll be done. Hold on one second. Okay, so, yep, that's fine. Just turn off that video. All right, so here is the tower. And right now ours is not, I guess, lit up because we have it set on a timer. So for an indoor tower, you can actually get these LED lights. They're 125 watts in total. And what's that? Go ahead. Oh, okay. And then you can set them on a timer. So basically we have them on a timer right now. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like with the lights on. And so it kind of gets pretty bright. So that's why we like to put it on during the daytime. It actually almost serves as like a depression light, especially during the winter growing months. And so we recently just transplanted our tower. We've got cilantro, we've got butterhead lettuce, arugula. We've got, this is like an Asian greens mix. It's a little bit small right now. And bok choy. We've got kale growing in here.
And collard greens in the back, actually. But this is just a sense to show you that these are really small, affordable, easy, automated units. You could grow at home. We empower people to do it anywhere. You can always hit us up if you have any questions about growing food at home yourself. And yeah, I guess if you have any questions, we could,
we can answer any questions if you want, but also want to be respectful of other people's times.
Absolutely.
All right, that's actually pretty cool. I've always had an interest in hydroponic farming in cities, in particularly, because the space considerations for large deployments of farm equipment and all that, you can't really do that even if you have the space in a city to do it with. So how would something like this scale up for like multiple level dedicated farm buildings?
So, oh,
Phantom Zone.
I'm gonna leave. Okay.
Who's it going?
So this would scale up. So we showed it kind of in the beginning where this is a modular system, so we can actually hook up a bunch of them together. So one system alone just has its own reservoir, but when you hook up, 10 or more towers, we actually install irrigation system, so it refills everything automatically. But do you mean like if for an individual or for like some sort of rooftop farm or something like that?
So I was thinking more for like for I'm thinking in the future, like hold on,
Yeah.
who's echoing here?
I mean, honestly, scaling up for like, for food security purposes, and obviously it's cool to grow food in your own home. But we actually did a talk about this at Green Tech in Amsterdam last June, where when you're thinking about creating regional food systems as well as local food systems, one of the ways that we think is important is, cities like Manhattan used to grow 50% of their own food after World War II. And we think that if we can get cities growing that amount of food again, and that can look like on your rooftops, really tapping into the unused space. We've grown in shipping containers in parking lots. We've grown in 10,000 square foot greenhouses on the top of residential buildings. We've done rooftop farms. We've grown in basements. So there's a lot of different ways that you can tap into unused space. And, we show property owners how they can make money off of having farms on their properties. And this is also a way to engage a local food system. So there's a lot of ways that you can implement scale up a certain percentage of food that gets produced in a city when you're thinking, or even like what we're doing with grocery stores. You can start doing that with distribution centers, and having food, instead of being shipped to the distribution center, most of those perishable items like your lettuces and things like that being grown somewhere on that facility or in that site. And then, so there can be, a lecturer's background is actually in city planning. And when you think about this more on that level, there's a level at which that it really does start to impact food security to be able to grow on a local level. And then, of course, you'll always need your regional farms and foods, because when you're thinking, hydroponics establishes growth of a lot of perishable items, but you can also have greenhouses that are growing your trees so that we can import less food coming into the country, our tropical fruits and things like that, to diminish some of those greenhouse gases as well. So there's a lot of things that this kind of sparks. But like you said, scaling it up, making a real difference in the world for food production, and like that. We actually just got back from a trip in Japan. We're part of an accelerator program right now. That's a year-long program, but the first month was in Japan, and we got back in the mid March, and we're working on a workforce development program there, because the average age of a farmer is 66 years old, and they really do produce. They have a great regional food system, kind of like Italy, but they produce a good percentage of their food. But that won't be the case forever with rising ages of farmers and things like that. So a lot of this technology, the Japanese government believes at least that the technology is going to be what is going to engage the interest of some of the younger generations to even get interested in farming, because a lot of them are leaving the rural towns and going to Tokyo, and for more interesting jobs and things like that. So this is a way to kind of maybe bridge those gaps and see what impact it could have on that scale.
All right, awesome. So do we have any more questions, or?
Anybody want to ask more questions? I'll unmute you.
All right.
I'm checking chat.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
You're very much welcome.
Thank you very much for being there.
One second. No, that's a thank you from Squirtle.
Squirtle.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much for being a part of our DEFCON 201 talks.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, sorry for technical difficulties.
Yeah, technical difficulties tend to happen with hackers sometimes. That's a given. That's a given.
Wasn't expecting that one.
Well, for once, we know who to blame, and it's not Jack.
I mean, there's nobody really to blame. It's everyone.
I have the video and audio. Want to do like like 3 programs right now.
Yeah. So, yeah. So anyway, thanks for the demonstration and the wonderful talk. And I
Next,
guess we'll move on
green
to the
bit.
next one.
Gillian, green bits. 1 second. Hold on.
Hey guys, this is Gilad at Bitgreen.
Welcome.
Jason, Big Green.
Okay, ready, go.
Awesome. So, hey everyone, this is Gilad at Bitgreen here with Jason. And first of all, we're very grateful to be here with everyone. It's kind of funny. Jason and I are part of this decentralized project, right? And it's led by a community of hackers and advocates and do-gooders. It feels like we, fit right at home with DEFCON 201. So really, thank you for letting us share. So yeah, my name is Gilad, and I'm the ops and partnership lead for the Bitgreen Foundation, which is the caretaker arm for Bitgreen, the project. Jason, who will be helping me out on this presentation, is actually the co-chair and the overall project lead. So now Bitgreen harkens all the way back to the dawn of 2017, which may not seem like a lot, but in these COVID days feels like ancient past. But it was really started by a bunch of passionate people who were excited about the potential that blockchain has, the blockchain technology has, but equally concerned with the unintended environmental ramifications of some of the leading blockchain projects, i.e. Bitcoin. So the project was initiated to prove that there's a path that both maintains the integrity of what the Bitcoin framework was doing, but also substantially reduces the environmental degradation that's an unintended consequence of proof of work. And I'll get to, Jason will help me explain the whole notion of proof of work with proof of stake. But the original intention of Bitgreen was to really show that the unbridled potential of blockchain, and specifically cryptocurrency in this case, could be attained without, destroying the world. And so I'll let Jason explain how we got to that situation with a mechanism called proof of stake. So Jason?
Yeah, so I'm sure many of you know what cryptocurrency mining is, or what traditional cryptocurrency mining is. You plug a box into the internet and into a wall outlet, and it makes a lot of sound and a lot of noise and burns a lot of power, and it contributes basically mathematical calculation power to the Bitcoin network, which is what you get rewarded for, i.e. mining. And in traditional, cryptocurrency world, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the big ones, except now for very few, which we're very happy about, the more machines you actually have, the more power you contribute to securing a network, and or the more you get rewarded. But the problem with Bitcoin and most of the other cryptos is that the more of these machines that you plug in, the more power they use, the more greenhouse gases they emit. I think that 2 years ago, all the Bitcoin miners in the world added up to like the 17th or 18th most power consuming country, which is just really, really scary. And there's another segment, about 20% now of all blockchains or cryptocurrencies, which are something else called proof of stake. So instead of plugging machines into the internet and them contributing basically what they call, hash power or CPU calculation ability, the network is secured by something else. So instead of having to own a mining device, the actual ownership of those coins and having them on a retail or individual person's laptop is what the function of securing the network is, which is what the activity that's rewarded is. So basically it's a mechanism where you don't need any special hardware. There's no environmental detriment other than your, whatever it is that your like typical computer emits, or the power that your typical computer consumes. And there's also there's no linear increase in cost for like the bigger miner you want to be, or the more you want to mine, the more you want to contribute to these networks. In traditional Bitcoin, the more you want to contribute, the more miners you have, the more you have to emit. With all proof of stake, whether it be Bitgreen or something like a Tezos, some of the other big ones that you might have heard of by now, those ones basically you can add as many coins to a computer as you want, and that's what the idea of stake is. It's the owners of the network who are serving the function to secure it and enable people to transact for green goods and services and things that we'll get to in a minute. It is like the actual owners of those things are the ones who are rewarded for, continuing on the network and its security. So instead of having a curve that looks like this for cryptocurrency, you have a curve that looks like this, which is much better for everyone and the planet. We have some like resources that might be a little bit more simple to follow if you're not an expert on cryptocurrency, that we can share like via our website and stuff after the conference. But what we're trying to get across is that the networks that have a plateau in terms of the environmental degradation that they can do are much better than ones that have, a linear or exponentially increasing effect on the environment for their use.
So what does this really mean? Okay, so as I said, the project started in order to prove that you could build an entire ecosystem that's blockchain based without destroying the world. And on that point, in a way, mission accomplished. Not only is Bitgreen one of the original proof of stake simple protocols, it's also on the forefront of getting other protocols to move towards proof of stake. But that's one thing. What we're really excited about right now is that once we've established that, we set our sights for larger goals. And essentially, the mission for Bitgreen right now is to be the engine driving forward conscious consumerism around the world. So the token, right? So Bitcoin is a token, right? And there's value to it. So is BitG, which is the token for Bitgreen, right? BitG has a track record. It's been out for a while. It's available on different exchanges, which makes it both liquid, right? You could exchange it for other tokens and eventually for dollars, fiat, stuff like that. And also it has value. It's not just something invented 2 seconds ago. And why is that important? Because now as a community, our collective has decided to use tokens that we earned, right? We earned by the mining to incentivize the impactful actions, decisions, and purchases that people like you and I make around the world. So basically, we want to be the sort of financial lubricant to get people to make the right decisions, to volunteer their time, to do those kind of things that really make the world better. So how do we actually do that? So I'm happy to say that on our roadmap within the next few months, we're going to have our first light wallet app, which means think of it like Venmo in the States. Those who are listening in the States, think of it like Venmo. It's an app where you can easily send, receive, and in the case of BitG, buy BitG and also hold the BitG as easy as PayPal or as Venmo. So that's step one. Once that's established, we're actually in the process of building partnerships with sustainable businesses, initiatives, and causes, whereby by linking with BitG, so as an example, we're building a link with Lyft. Why is Lyft important? Because at this point, cars are the largest carbon emitter in America. And it's proven that carpooling, right, reduces carbon emissions. Same thing with bike shares, which we're also connecting with. So through our app, if you basically were to take a Lyft line or an Uber pool or any of the other car sharing apps that BitG would connect with, we would automatically reward you with free BitG just for making the right decision. Another example we're working with is Fold at Home, which I know that DEFCON 201 is involved in. Fold at Home, for those who don't know yet, is it's a decentralized framework whereby you could contribute your computer's time and energy to essentially map out the proteins of the coronavirus or of other diseases that are super hard to figure out, and we don't necessarily have all the technology to figure it out in the labs. They need massive computing power, and Folding at Home allows the entire world to contribute. We want to incentivize people for doing the right thing, and thus the Big Green community has built a system where you could actually earn Bitchy in addition to good vibes for volunteering. And like you could earn Bitchy through our app and our commerce ecosystem, you could actually discover sustainable vendors, charities that are vetted by our community, and also initiatives that are nominated by our community, with which you could either donate your Bitchy to, learn more about, and take action, like volunteer. It's basically building an ecosystem incentivizing good works. And what does community mean for us? Well, if you own Bitchy, you are part of our community, which means you could take an active role in nominating causes. You could take an active role in really setting up new initiatives, because as a decentralized community, we all work together to figure out what's the path forward for Big Green. Yeah, so as I mentioned, we have Folding Home is happening. Our community is also pushing forward an exciting initiative to plant trees. We're actually talking with the Nature Conservancy, who are working on their plant 1 billion trees. That's just the number is crazy to me, but 1 billion trees initiative. And we're going to take an active role in helping make that happen. And we're always looking for new opportunities to connect with individuals, to connect with causes. And specifically, if, given the community that we're talking to, if you're a developer, if you're looking for a true cause-based opportunity to get involved with, we're always looking for, new collaborators. So if you have any interest in that end as well, and you want to contribute your time as a developer and help us really build this project, we'd love to hear from you. And otherwise, yeah, if you have any questions, please ask us here or find us on Discord, Telegram, wherever all the cool kids are hanging.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Very insightful.
Does anyone have any questions?
You can say something in chat if you have a question.
You guys, we did such a great job. Jason, I'm proud of you.
So I do have I have a question. I was wondering, are there any proof of stake cryptocurrency that uses instead of compute time, storage? So yeah, it uses a distributed network to store a set of bytes, bits, whatever that has been computed in a certain way to be cryptographically tied to this network. And the more that you have stored that you're capable of sharing to the network, that it uses that as the basis for its mining.
There are. I don't know. So storage is usually a second or third problem that people look to address after trustless transactions, right? Or being able to have a universal store of value to transfer between two people. So there are, none of them are like great that are live yet. One's called Filecoin, which has been in development for 3 or 4 years. But pretty much any proof of stake blockchain, you can build a bridge to some type of storage system to incentivize people storing whatever data it is, like for proof of stake rewards, I guess. So if that's interesting to anyone, happy to have a deeper conversation there.
All right. So seems like we don't have any other questions.
My hand's up.
Yeah, what's up?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So my biggest concern of a proof of stake system is that the amount of mining power you have, as I understand it, is based on the number of coins currently in your given wallet, and the wallet is currently connected to the network. Doesn't that by definition cause the rich to become richer faster than not?
Doesn't that say again?
It basically causes those who already have a lot of coins to already have
Correct.
gain coins faster than others.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's usually a big issue when you look at projects who raise tens of millions of dollars in big ICOs or some type of big fundraising effort. There's only like 2 proof of stake blockchains that were started organically, i.e., there was no pre-mine, there was no ICO sale. It was started kind of like old school Bitcoin. And BitGreen was actually started as an academic project out of Penn State with no ICO, no pre-sale. There were no coins. Someone said start one day and a couple coins existed. They were thrown up onto exchanges. Other people bought them to mine them. And now the speed at which the staking or mining exists is very slow. So, I would say that yes, systems like this are technically set up that way, but they're at their best when you are in a situation where there's a fair launch and the biggest wallets and the project's wallets are actually funding the development of the blockchain, which is what's happening in this chain today, because our ethos is green and most of those people are not just money first types, which is, I would say, a very good thing in this case. The best answer I can give.
All right.
Yeah, I would like to add something to it. There's this one angle of cryptocurrency, which is about the fact that it's currency, it's money, if you will. But this might sound a little cheesy, but one of the smarter people I've met in this sector, he asks you when you think about this to think of the visualization of current C, right? Current C. And what he means by that is it's actually a way of showing progress or tracking progress. It's a lubricant for cooperation or collaboration. And so, even this last presentation we had, Jason and I were going back and forth and talking about ideas in which, Bitgreen could get involved. So imagine, okay, don't have to imagine it. We're in Corona days, all right? There's a massive money crunch. A lot of people are now, if they're not unemployed, they're scared about where their next check's going to come. There's a lot of fear out there. People still need to eat, right? You have an ecosystem of local farmers who are smallhold farmers. Maybe they're just, growing for themselves. Maybe they have a little extra. Maybe thought it's a hobby and it became something more. They can't necessarily go to a store right now and start selling, right? They don't, even if they technically could, they won't. Okay, so you have supply, right? You have a whole bunch of people that would love to not have to go to a Trader Joe's and wait for 2 hours to get to a store, or don't even live the building, or just want to build community. So you have demand. What's missing? Oh shit, I have the money, the dollars. I need to think about like survival. If you bring in a lubricant like Bitchy, which connects collaboration, you're actually able to unlock that collaboration. And so a lot of the sort of impetus behind this next phase of Bitchy is how do we keep doing that at scale? So another quick example, there is a cool company out there in LA that had built an app that essentially tells you stuff that you could do, civic responsibility stuff, or like videos to watch, and they give you these reward points. And these are like nothing more than, eventually you could get some discounts at a store. Not even the most exciting thing. But on the back end, they built partnerships with all the major agencies in the greater Los Angeles metropolitan county, whatever they call it over there, which happens to have one of the largest budgets for environmental safety, environmental education, all these good things. They just don't know really how to connect to people and get them to actually listen, to take a bike instead of get stuck on traffic for 2 hours because it's Los Angeles. So we're actually talking about connecting Bitchy with the sort of tokens that that other app wants to give to participants. So instead of it being just like a 5% off discount, it's actually something that's a little more valuable. Now imagine all those guys are getting bitchy. They're able to go to our app, discover new opportunities, which they could either buy stuff, donate stuff, or even carbon offset their entire day, which is all kind of things that we're building into the app. So essentially, with Bitchy being the lubricant connecting, right? Bitchy's app will be a sort of remote control for impact. And that's sort of the grand scheme of things. Of course, it's also money. And if you get involved earlier, you're able to like build up and all that kind of stuff. That's cryptocurrency. But the main focus is it being a tool for collaboration, if that makes sense.
Excellent.
All right.
All right, so what we had planned now was kind of a bit of a hacker show and tell. I'm just not in the mood. Does anybody have anything?
I can talk about stuff.
Go ahead, talk about stuff and stuff.
So I did discover a little bit of an interesting historical anomaly. Is there anything specific people want to hear about, or should I just talk about random things?
Start a topic and I'll probably jump in.
So for those who don't know, I used to work at a company called Beam in 2015 that was acquired by Microsoft to become Mixer. And when I worked at Beam, I created something called FTL, which is a sub-second video streaming protocol. And Mixer has recently republished an SDK for FTL. And when I was there, because I was an independent contractor, I put all the source code under the MIT license. And I'm pleased to see that I'm the only one who actually did doctrine comments that are still there, and my copyright notices are still there. So Microsoft does, in fact, listen to license notifications.
Yay.
Well, that's 1 point Microsoft.
Yep. So that was my amusing little tidbit. The reason I even looked at that is because when I was fighting with Open Broadcasting Studio, I noticed Mixer FTL and then Restream FTL. And it's like, wait a minute, this was a proprietary protocol, despite my intentions. What happened? So anyway, so besides that, who else is going a little crazy in quarantine?
Me.
I mean, you can judge from the quality of the stream so far that, yeah.
Well, see, my biggest worry about DEFCON 201 surviving COVID-19 isn't so much, us dying of coronavirus. It's the core members killing each other.
I just hear Side Pocket in the back, like, oh, fuck.
Am I wrong?
No, definitely not.
Yes. And we're getting a wonderful...
All right, 1 second. Zoom took the crap.
Yeah, well.
I shouldn't find it this funny. I really shouldn't.
I mean, I guess I'm still here.
Well, we're having a wonderful view, Ciricel, of the side of your head and the ceiling. We're seeing,
Yeah.
Oh, we're starting to lose people. Oh, we lost 201.
Oh, that was Jack. His Zoom crashed out.
Yes, but he means the host became C. Marina.
Oh, the host switched over?
Because Jack was the host.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I don't even know who C. Marina is. Can you host either me, Side Pocket, or well, I guess Jack isn't here anymore. Me, Side Pocket, or Ciricel? Because we won't be able. Okay, hey, nope. DEFCON 201 has returned.
There we go.
Is the host back?
The host is back.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was afraid that when the host leaves, it actually permanently takes the host off of host.
I the Zoom channel can be set that way. I guess the way the channel is set up is it does hot potato, and then if the original host comes back.
Okay. Okay. So yeah,
But man,
cool.
I'm just sitting here. It's like, does anyone else besides me remember when Skype didn't suck?
Oh man.
I've got a project that I've been working on resurrecting ICQ.
What?
So I learned out in the protocol, the lowest possible UID you could have was 1001.
Yeah.
And the protocol has a very interesting concept of encryption, which I'm guessing may even be like 40-bit encryption, but they did the thing that you're not supposed to do.
Rolled their own.
Rolled their own.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Each packet is encrypted on the fly with a check code. And I looked at this, it's like,
So
Sounds
Thursday?
about right.
huh?
So Thursday?
Yeah, pretty much Thursday. And it's symmetrical encryption because it doesn't actually do anything useful. I think it was just to prevent things like Trillion, remember that, from being able to communicate. But if we really, oh man, I think I just caused Squirtle existential pain.
My eyes are hurting just thinking about it.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, so we could, if we really want to bring back the best of the 90s, I could sit here, I can install Windows 3.1 and we can live through the glory days of setting up Trumpet WinSock.
That might be something.
I don't know. I'm just trying to think, the Zoom meeting was supposed to go until midnight. What do we want to kill time? We could do something retro, something crazy. I could talk about DAWs. We could burn Jack.
So one thing that I actually I planned on showing and then didn't, but then like I guess now I kind of have the time to set it up. So MagFest, they have the hashtag badge life thing going on, in that they make these circuit board badges that have a bunch of neat hardware and stuff on them, and they're kind of like extra swag that you can get when you buy your actual MagFest badge, but they're actually pretty neat. They have an ESP8266 on them. They're pretty reasonably powerful. I'm just actually getting it out of my room right now. So I got one, and I got the programmer that goes with it so that I can reflash the firmware on it. And
it shows how technology marches on, that anything can be reprogrammed these days.
Yeah. So
is it like a AVR8 or is it an Arduino?
It's an ESP8266. It's just I think it's an ESP-WROOM U10D or something, or O2D rather. So this thing, pretty neat. I'm gonna power it up, see what's on it. Yeah, so it's running the default firmware, so it has a little menu with a few selections on it and stuff. But now I'm about to go flash the firmware on it using my trusty, actually, let me see if I can swap the camera. Well, yes, I can. So my trusty firmware flasher. So I know that's a PCI Express port. It's not, but it looks like one.
Don't let the magic smoke out.
Yeah, so it plugs in like that. And here I got my trusty laptop. So I'm gonna go hook this up and hopefully, you can see my hand right there. Let me get this thing plugged in. Oh, that's the HDMI port. There, that's better. So now I got it plugged in on the computer.
I wish I could control who.
And I have a virtual machine, which, okay, that's weird. Let me close out of that. So I got a virtual machine with Linux on it, and it takes over the USB ports, so all the hardware's plugged right into it. If I head over into the dev kit firmware here, and actually see channel 3. Okay. So an interesting feature that's not quite a feature so much as a hacked in function on the ESP is that it can bit bang over the I2S bus any weird 1-bit protocol straight out through DMA. So being that this DMA runs at several dozen megahertz, I think you can get like up to 80 megahertz, and then it lets out all sorts of crazy harmonics. This thing works as an SDR. So
Unintentional uses of hardware.
yep. So just get the flash thing ready. Bash. That's not in there.
In random news, while that's going on, I got
Was
this as a furlough present.
A furlough oh.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of something to do like while Cell gives his demonstration. Like, I don't know. We could explore the wonderful world of OS2.
Oh boy.
I probably should have it installed before we do that, though.
That might be a good idea. Just perhaps.
Well, we could live stream the installation.
Watch my progress bar.
No, we can't hear you in the Zoom chat.
Oh, you know what? No, we could play DEFCON 201 plays Pokemon. I'll just look up an IRC bot.
That would be interesting.
The question is, we probably get into a huge battle trying to select a starter, because obviously we know what Squirtle would want.
All right. Have a good night. Yeah, Jack's coming through as a bunch of chipmunk noise right now.
Sounds like chiptune.
It's like the professional broadcasting setup.
Yeah, professional broadcasting setup.
I said looks.
Oh, well, yeah. Nope, still chipmunking. He's trying to fix his audio. Yeah, no, apparently that's coming from his computer. He's actually trying to get on Zoom on his computer.
But he's on Zoom. I see him.
No, what I mean was, Commander was restreaming for a while.
Yeah, no, it's all the same as it ever was. No, this is different. This is completely different stuff. We're trying to debug what the chipmunking is without messing with the stream.
Well, my question is, this happened after our speakers?
Yes, after the speakers.
That's what I mean by that.
Yeah,
We're on
no,
the same page.
everything's fine.
If Jack hands off the host role, he won't mess with the stream because I'm doing the stream, and the stream's on a dedicated computer.
No, everything's fine.
Am I muted? No, I'm not muted.
I can hear you.
Okay. I was.
I
See,
think
I'm running Zoom from an Android phone with Google services, all the stock default basic shit, because it's tested to work and it works. And yeah, it just
so what I find hugely amusing is that Zoom on Linux is an Electrum app that abuses WebRTC,
yeah.
which really makes me wonder how you have that many security holes.
Mm.
You could-
Okay, command isn't up here.
There's a talk I could give. The piece of wet string that's keeping us together through COVID-19. Why WebRTC sucks. The UEFI of video conferencing.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so I'm using the microphone, the webcam, so this is not, this should work.
No, we hear you just fine.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
What kind of,
We hear the voice of Jack. Jack is giving me the evil eye.
Alright.
Let me see if there's any I should have been doing this before. I should see if there's any questions. Let's see here. So, any questions for us? I'm asking on Twitch, or any tech topics you want us to cover. Retro tech, world domination,
all right, well,
that sort of thing. Yeah, I just realized I didn't have the stream chat visible. We should be communicating with people, because if people on Twitch or like want us to go back, you know what? I know what we should do. Hold on, I need to get on the desktop. I need an Apple II emulator, and I need a copy of Oregon Trail.
all right, I actually have like most of the talk. It's not complete because I had some more technical issues today. So
That's fine. Do we want to do DEFCON? Just for a lull, should we do DEFCON 201 Oregon Trail?
no. Please not right now.
Let me grab.
Okay, this is almost
Grab
ready.
this.
Paste that here. Yeah, okay. That should do it. Paste this option, shut this off, throw it into flash mode, and okay, and connecting, flashing.
This what I think it is.
So I just flashed my MagFest badge, and when you flash it, the LEDs on it all start flashing too, because for some reason the LEDs share a pin or two with the serial port. But I'm gonna go get my get the other hardware to go with it, and we'll be able to show you the thing that it can do that's really not supposed to be able to do. Oh, someone's beeping.
That was me. Sorry.
Okay.
That was me trying to get an Apple II to work.
All right, so I have like most of the talk. The last couple of slides somehow didn't get saved, but I have like the most of the talk and kind of forensics and autopsy if you guys want to see it.
Okay, cool.
I like the fact that we have to use the term autopsy.
It's the application called autopsy.
Oh, okay. Actually, I've got some pretty neat things I can show after Ciricel is done with his flashing.
Yep.
Wow, that
So,
sounded really wrong. I apologize.
oh jeez.
Not even the mood to make a joke.
Did you eat this?
No, not yet. I was waiting for you to plug it in.
It's been plugged in when I left with it. Do you want me to do it for you?
Okay. Let's see. TV mode. Power this up.
Right, they're still on the table.
Yep, that works. Okay. This wire situated. So let's switch the camera, and here we have a analog television. Pretty standard stuff. Here I have a swedge. I'm going to put this here and tune this to a certain channel. And eventually something should come up on the screen.
Is this the precursor to the ring?
Perhaps. Maybe I just need to restart this. So there we go. As you can see, MagFest is bananas. So that is being broadcast out of this little hardware here. It's bit banging an SDR television signal out of one of the pins that it uses for the LEDs. So
What's funny is,
huh? What were you saying?
the funny is that little trick would only work with NTSC. It would not work with PAL.
Yeah. Well, as you can see, it's never the same color.
Well, the problem is that the way the chroma key works on NTSC was made by drugs. Now, it was fortunately that same combination of drugs is how the Apple II actually managed to do color without
Right.
special circuitry.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had a Neo here, I'd love to hear his rant about closed captioning on NTSC.
Oh boy, what is it? Line 20 something.
It abuses the overscan areas of the NTSC image. So for those who aren't familiar with analog TV technology, the way it works is essentially there's an electron gun that goes back and forth, up and down, painting each individual pixel on the TV. And there are brief periods where the gun is out of bounds of the screen. This is what's known as horizontal and vertical blank. So during that time, you can encode additional data into a TV image. This is why if you adjust the vertical and the horizontal and over and on the X files, you can occasionally see things like stack in the corner. That's the closed captioning information. And then color is handled on a subband and Ooga Booga Magic. NTSC is the Linux of broadcasting protocols. It wasn't so much designed as it evolved. PAL is the BSD of protocols. Better on a lot of technical aspects, but not as commonly used outside of Europe.
Yeah. So right now I'm gonna change the payload on the firmware. So it's just a matter of flashing this one firmware image to it. I have to reset the flasher while holding this button. And right now I'm sending the code right over to it. It's flashing, as you can see. And there we go. It is broadcasting channel 3.
I'll be right back.
Okay. So this is code by CN Lore, which is he's a rather popular hacker in the ESP8266 scene. Did quite a few weird things with this hardware. And yeah, the code's up on GitHub. You can check it out. Basically, any ESP8266 is capable of working with this. And I was going to be making a video game based on this, and it was going to be kind of I wouldn't say an ARG, but kind of in the same vein, because I was going to embed the ESP8266 inside of the television.
So responding to Twitch to Bad Data 99, X10 is actually an over-the-wire protocol for doing home automation. It's actually really primitive, but it's so primitive that you can do a lot of things with it that weren't expected. I mean, there was X10 control software for Microsoft DOS of all things.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So, all right. So, I mean, a lot of what people don't is that is that thing online? I saw an IP address there.
So, yes, the ESP8266, while it's broadcasting video, can operate a web server simultaneously, because it's not using any CPU. It's all DMA. It's running it straight out of memory.
So, Pearsall, just to make this perfectly clear, you have an internet-enabled analog television.
Yes, I have an IoT-V.
Yes, thank you. Ow.
Internet of Thingies. So a bunch of things.
So, before Cyril causes me any more pain, we could do something. I kind of would like to end the stream. It's almost 9 o'clock, and I don't know how late we'll go, but I wouldn't mind doing something kind of retro. Now, if I had planned for this.
So at this point, we're going to give our promise plug to Subculture Sandwich Shop in Jersey City, where we get these fabulous sandwiches from. It's where we normally host our meetings, but we're not able to get there in person. So we got these subs for takeout because of virus reasons.
I do legitimately hope that Subculture is still in business when this is all said and done.
They don't seem like they're slowing down. It's like people are still ordering out and people still getting deliveries from there. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah. I was on Metro North the other day, and well, you guys saw the photo, but I was like, it was rush hour and there were 3 people on the train. And it's like, oh God.
Yeah, so Subculture, they miss us quite a bit. They can't wait to be able to have us again for another meeting. But yeah, at the moment, the stay-at-home order is kind of keeping things on the ice with that.
Well, we could at least tell them to broadcast them on the TV while people are waiting for their subs. So, Saracel has made IOTV, which really made me die just a little bit inside. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I just cribbed that name from Cablevision, you know? Yeah, you remember. You remember.
I remember when they were TLC. And then they merged. and then they merged again.
Yeah.
It's like the
So
opposite.
interesting thing about the Optimum, about IO TV, actually, it used to be HTML based. It was actually HTML 3.01, and I managed to get well, given this was 2002, so rather powerful for its time, matter of fact.
Web
But
TV.
I managed to get a man in the middle on a IOTV box and served up my own web pages to it. Put a proxy and a forwarder to google.com, and my TV was now a web TV basically, but in the 21st century.
And I do miss the era when we used to have 30 different web browsers and standards actually worked, because Chrome is becoming the new Internet Explorer.
It is the new Internet Explorer.
Wait. When did standards actually work?
During that brief period before Internet Explorer was pre-installed everywhere.
Okay, the very brief moment. No. I think you meant to say before Internet Explorer 3, because if you remember, the whole reason why they even have the user agent string in the first place is because nobody respects standards. Oh, and we're talking about breaking standards. Let's not forget tables and frames in Netscape, which were not part of the spec that Netscape added.
Yes,
So,
Jack.
So it was like there was never standards. No one was ever standards compliant. And then IE started breaking shit. So right off the bat.
Jack, you're about to cause me to do something unfortunate.
Okay.
I have a copy of Next Step installed in a virtual machine, and I ported worldwideweb.app to it. I will break out Web 0.1 here. Do not tempt me.
Actually, that'd be a good talk. Actually, do it for DC 201. We'd like to see. We'd like to actually see. What's it called? We'd actually like to see this. We'd actually like to see the NSCA 1991 original version of the web before.
Okay. You asked for it. Now the question. So I took my old desktop hard drives and I put them. My old computer was called Perdition. My new computer is called Absolution. So let me see if I can get VirtualBox to install on this computer. And if not, we'll do this next time. And you know what? We can do an entire talk of how Next Step was better than Mac OS 10, or is better.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can even go through the generations. Then we can go to Raspberry and show Platinum, and then Mac OS 10 Server 1.0, because that's different than Mac OS 10 Server 10.0 because Apple. Or
how long do you think the VirtualBox setup is going to be?
It's downloading right now. The real question is, did I flip the switch in BIOS? Because if I didn't, I'd have to reboot, and the computer is running the stream.
Oh yeah, if you have to reboot, then don't even bother.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for VirtualBox to install, so we'll know in a moment.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah,
now hopefully it still works.
That's an interesting piece of history, though. That's really an interesting piece of history.
Well, it was really exciting to port because it was originally written for the Motorola 680 XO version of Next Step, which I obviously don't have a Next computer because those things are expensive as hell. So I have the x86 version of Next Step, and then I had to fix all the Evelyn issues in it. And dear God, there was a lot of them.
Yeah, I remember when I remember when those things came out. It was a big deal, and all the computer rags were making a really big deal about those Next cubes. And then there was that one issue, I think it was PC World, where because if it's like magnesium frame, they actually lit it on fire when the company went and fell apart. They actually lit one of those things on fire for a cover.
Wow.
So yeah, I guess it commercially never panned out, but a lot of the 90s web and 90s internet is kind of near and dear to my heart. But one thing I do remember was there was no standards. And before everything was, IE took over, it was kind of Netscape's special brand of funk. And then the browser was Netscape. And back then, I mean, there was no real Conqueror, sure, but there really wasn't a decent browser on Linux. In fact, Linux on the desktop was not something most people did, except for a few real diehards.
Okay, I am copying the VirtualBox stuff. So this is promising because normally if VirtualBox can't initialize its VM stuff, it bitches at startup. So, yep, that's actually promising. I'm still gotta wait for all the stupid disk images. I've got spinning Rust hard drives and hot swapped SATA bays going to a nice shiny SSD. I just haven't copied all the data off yet.
Wow.
So, just for the record, though, we do have quite a few people on the Twitch stream. I don't know how many people are also on Zoom, but it's not a bad collection of groups. Now,
It looks like 6 or 9 right now on the Zoom.
Yeah, it's 9 on the Zoom, and it's more than that on Twitter, or not on Twitter. Wow, I can't speak. Because the watching now doesn't actually seem to be right. So these files are copying. I'm wondering how much of my disk space is going to disappear. Bear with me, because okay, so we have guest editions. We look through. Yeah, so I've got an OpenStep VM. I also have a Darwin 3.0 VM, which I compiled from source. I'm looking for my old projects folder, and it's terrifying.
Huh.
I'm going to switch. I'm going to probably lose the webcam. Let me see if this actually works. Here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, you can't have that.
Okay.
Okay. Because that's me switching to the headset that's plugged into the desktop.
Okay.
The slight problem is now it shows NCommander desktop. There's no webcam.
Well, I can see you.
Yeah. I guess the person that you can see varies. Like I can see it on my laptop. My laptop keeps showing NCommander desktop. The desktop is showing.
Yeah, it's like I can see from here, like it sometimes switches.
Actually, I should switch the Twitch view to gallery view. So to people on Twitch, I'm sorry, I should have thought of doing that sooner. So, okay, this is apparently going to take a while to copy.
Well, if you think it's going to take too long.
Okay, hold on. We got another question on Twitch.
Okay.
I am just getting to hacking. Any recommendations for resources, stuff to read, to do for new folks? So my personal recommendation for people that are new to this is new people, get to know people, read books, and capture the flag challenges are all great ideas on things to do.
Mm-hmm.
Have a CTF right now.
Yes. So we are running a CTF right now. If we're participating in one, and we have a Discord chat that has links to the CTF and other things like that. You don't mind pasting the Discord into the Twitch, then.
Yeah, I can. Do we actually? No, we don't use that Discord anymore.
We do for CTFs.
Oh.
Yeah, and we're actually starting to use it more now.
Let me see if we got valid.
Also, you're coming through 2 people, so it's a little bit echoey.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Now everything's echoing.
Okay, that's
Now I can't hear you.
you can't hear me at all.
You're speaking and there's no audio.
How did I screw this up? Unmute. Seeing Jackie eat a sandwich makes me hungry. Okay, hold on. Oh, I know what's going on. All right, testing.
Better.
Better. But am I actually audible?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, what was happening is I unmuted the desktop, and apparently I'm being picked up by its microphone, which was what was causing the voice of God.
Mm-hmm.
So let me find the DEFCON 201 thing. Okay, so the link for an invite has expired. So one of the
It's in our Medium. Head over there and links in there.
You know, this is where we need the your princess is in another castle thing to pop up. Do 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 do. Okay, I am looking for the DEFCON, or let's see here, DEFCON, or not DEFCON, Discord. So you know what amazes me? DEFCON might actually be canceled this year.
Yeah, that's kind of been a thing.
Yeah, the new joke is DEFCON's not canceled, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm trying to rebrand Hope this year as Hope, the Missing Hope.
There's no hope.
Okay, I just dropped the link in the DEFCON 201 Discord. I'm in there. A few others of us are in there. So if you want some help, I also recommend Hack the Box, which is a pretty fun CTF challenge. Maybe if we start doing these more than once a month, because right now it is actually copying over my Kali instance, we could definitely Jesus Christ. Wait, did it finish copying my OpenStep? It copied over my OpenStep instance, but did it copy the hard drive that's associated with it? So let's go to here. Runtime error, file not found. On the plus side, I have an OS2 accessible setup, which I don't remember making. It's like going through an archive of failed projects. Okay, we'll save that for another time. I'm going to relocate back to the couch because the couch is comfortable. I don't know, like I said, I have this strange and powerful urge to fire up Oregon Trail, put your guys' names in, and then let the group decide what horrible ways we're going to die.
So I'm gonna post a link in the DC201 Keybase if you want to copy that over to the Twitch. Just a few more hacking resources. So link
Okay,
some more text.
that I can do.
Okay.
Yeah, like I would definitely have no problem going through some of the hack the boxes on stream. Unfortunately, like I said, I literally just set up a new computer, so I don't have a Kali VM set up, and my laptop is so anemic that if I tried it on this with Zoom running, okay, yeah, I'm going. Oh, you put that in the paste bin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I put the well, the paste bin's I think something different, but
Well, then I'm gonna have to put the then I'm gonna have to paste bin your paste bin. We're going
paste
full.
bin the second BART and then copy the first paste bin in.
I'm just gonna put the whole thing in a paste bin. But
Okay.
we're going recursion, C recursion.
Yeah, sounds good.
You know, what amazes me is the time from the internet's inception to the time pastebin became a thing. Because there was a fairly long period between those 2 points.
Understatement. Actually, it looks like was pastebin.com the first pastebin?
I used pastebin.ca for a really long time, but that worked. Okay, I just dropped the pastebin in the Twitch
shit.
chat for folks.
Pastebin.com registered 2002. No shit.
Yeah, actually, you know what? If we're going, let me. Oh, please tell me I have it installed. Please, you know what? We can do. What I can do is a crash course in reverse engineering, really quick. You know, just to show something cool. Let me find a nice, easy reverse engineering challenge, and you know we're going to stream that. So let me find a nice RE challenge, one I haven't done before. So.
Just pinning all these messages Side Pocket's posting.
I'll take a look in a moment. So, do any folks here have interest in reverse engineering?
Yeah, sure. It's always interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Some of these are kind of lame. I'd like one where I can open a binary, please. See, I know the hack the box challenges are good, but they don't want people posting spoilers to them for obvious reasons. So let's find a decent crack me, and I also have to find one I haven't done, which is not that hard, not that difficult. Okay, so Side Pocket apparently gave me a link to. Side Pocket sent me a bunch of. Yeah, let me put some additional links in chat for folks. So when I say hack the box, this is what I mean. Disclaimer, I was a premium member with them, which I do recommend. Otherwise, you get a lot of people fighting for the remote. But even as a free member, it's a great, amazing resource, and it's a lot of fun. He's also given me the Nullbyte Wonder How To, which I posted. What I might, yeah, see, like I said, I'm not ideally set up for this, but I'll do the best I can. Side Pocket keeps pinning messages. Yeah, let me switch back to the desktop, because if I'm going to do reverse engineering, I kind of want to control the OBS, but then I can't send it to Zoom. This is. Can the host pin which view is currently active?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so then I can do this on the laptop. So let me find an easy hack me. Or usually they're called crack me. So let me switch to sharing my screen. Start video. No. How do you do this? I should know how to do screen sharing on Zoom.
It should give you a pop-up to say what screen or what app you want to share, and then.
Well, I don't even have a button for it. Record chat, pin video chat. Okay, so apparently all I've managed to do is pin Jack eating a sandwich to my chat, which is not is not useful.
Oh.
Okay, and here's another good InfoSec link right now. This one also has a bunch of beginner CTF challenges. You know what? We can actually do one of these. Because if we do something like the old Pico, oh, it's down. Planning, we do. Let's see. Let me see if some of the older games are available. Okay. Yeah, like Pico CTF is available, but okay.
Wait, okay, so I'm just realizing that in Keybase, pinning a message only pins one message. It doesn't add it to a pin.
It's not Discord. Okay. So let's grab a C easy. All right. So as soon as I figure out how to share my screen, we will start doing this for real. So video settings, touch up my appearance, original. Okay. Guys, if anyone wants to chime in here and tell me how to do this, I'd really appreciate it.
So are you on Linux with Zoom?
Yes.
Okay, you said that it was an Electron app.
Yeah. I have it downloaded and installed.
Yeah. I
just found shared screen. It's grayed out.
What?
Yeah.
I'm on Linux right now, and I'm sharing screen. This is how we're still recording all this.
Yeah, I just pointed Open Broadcast Studio. For people that are watching on Twitch, I could do this easily by changing what the Twitch stream is recording, but I can't do that for Zoom. Wait, here we go. Oh. I found it. I found it.
Okay.
Okay. So.
All right, sweet. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, so let me grab a Crack Me. So let me get rid of. Let's just grab a nice simple one. So I'm going to do a Linux one. This is a difficulty. I prefer one with a bunch of solutions, just so I know I'm not going crazy. But all right, let's see here. This one's called Race. Let's see here. This was uploaded. All right, let's download it. So if we download it, that is a zip file. What I like to do now, normally you want to do this in a VM. I am, just for the sake of time and my sanity, I'm not. So let me go in my temp folder, create a Crack Me. Are you guys still seeing my screen or not? Because I just realized.
Yeah, we see your screen.
Okay. Unzip, download 5e. Why is the zip file passworded? That's not supposed to be the Crack Me. Okay, hold on. Oh, here it is. I forgot they do this. They do this so people can't like easily. There we go. So now that we've got that taken care of, and Crack Me. The first thing you want to do is a bit of reconnaissance. So if you run the file command on what you're ever trying to reverse engineer, it tells you more or less what it is. So we know we have a 64-bit ELF file for Linux. It is interestingly shipped with debugging information, is not stripped, and we can tell what it was built for. And if we go a step further, we can use what's called the LDD command, which is dynamic link. It shows all the libraries it's linked against. So this library, this in particular, only needs CLib. So the best program for doing reverse engineering, IDA was the best. The NSA, of all people, made their reverse engineering toolkit called GIRDA available. I will drop a link in chat. And yeah, I will note that failure is an option on the stream, just because I am really rusty at doing these. And this is probably opening some horrible project I did ages ago. Come on. What was I last reverse engineering? No, I don't want to cancel that. Oh yeah, I was trying to reverse engineer ICQ that, and things went badly. I don't want to analyze it. So what we want to do is we want to create a new project. Non-shared is fine, and we're going to go to. Yeah, the one problem is that when they poured this to Linux, they did a really iffy job of it. So this is called race cars. So we can call it finish. I don't want to save this modified file. And then this creates a new project. Then we can go add a file. There we go, import file. Go. It's like I'm trying to tempt the demo gods by doing this live. Temp, crack me, and then race cars. So this will give you when you import it, it'll ask for the format. Most of the time, this will be auto detected automatically. So you push the button, it'll create the project, and it'll just show you some basic summary information. For the most part, you don't need to worry about. In this particular case, it's a little interesting because of the debugging information, you can see the source files that made it up. So while that's running, it's going to want to do an analyze step once we double click it. Please don't tell me it froze. Come on. There it goes. Like I said, this laptop is a little anemic. So we're going to let that do an analyze. And while that does an analyze, we're going to do a little bit of surveillance on this binary. So if we go to, so one of the first things you can always do, and I highly recommend, is running strings. Because what strings will do is give you an idea of functions it may be calling and similar. So we can see here, we see the string, give me what we want. That's exactly what I wanted. The other things is because this was compiled with symbol information, we can see a bunch of the functions it's using. But basically what this wants is two strings, and then does a puts and a gets. Now, normally you should be doing this in the VM. This is not good practice, but I'm just going to run this directly. And it says, so all it does is give me what I want. So that's a string to look for. So if we go into functions main, I'm sorry, I'm going to, like I said, this laptop is not ideal for doing this. We have the disassembly here, and we have the decompile here. The decompile is a little iffy, but for the most part it works. But if we go to define strings, because now at the analyze, we can click here, give me what I want, and then we can look for cross references. Ooh, please undo. I am really rusty at doing this. Like normally before I give a demo, I practice it to hack and back. And obviously, of course, the string is now missing. Did I do something? Go back, go back. I may have undefined that as a string. Nope, I undid it. Okay. Anyway, looking here, we can see that, wow, this got completely and totally screwed up. Register TM clones, function. Why did this get completely goofed up? Hold on. Folks, please bear with me. It's been a few months since I've done any reverse engineering work, and this, I want to see this all, there we go, as disassembly. There we go. That helps a little bit. So now, there we go. So now that we've got this assembly, we can see, give me what we want. And that's exactly what I wanted. So, which is part of this function here. So if we go back, how did we get here? What we want is we want to find, so this is our unclouded perception. Please don't crash, please don't crash, please don't crash. Okay, didn't crash. Okay.
Java.
Yeah.
I know that Java feel.
Okay, it's just one of those days. All right, so anyway, looking at the main function, what we
Remember, this is, wait, am I?
This is what the NSA
Just froze
uses.
out.
So what we can see here is when you deal with C programming, the two arguments that every C application takes and rename variable is argc. Yes, you can rename that, and argv, which is an array to an array. No, wait a minute, did I do that backwards? Yeah, no, I did that backwards. It's argv and okay, you know what? I can't believe I'm gonna have to look this up. I think it's argc and argv. But with those 2 points are, no, I was right the first time. argc and argv. argc is a count of arguments. And I'll show you what an argument is here in a moment. So a argument, when you type a command, and you know what, I can do this really easy if I just make an example program. So let's call this test.c. Yeah, you know what, let me use a different editor just so this is easier to see. Assuming Visual Studio Code will load sometime this century.
Microsoft.
There we go. So let's make a simple, let's do what's called a hello world program. Yes, 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 I know. So I'm hoping folks have a little bit of experience with C. If not, I will walk you through it. And then char v. So what? So hello world from NCommander. Hi, SciPy. So what we can do is argc is number of arguments. I'll explain the code here in a moment. Like this. So printf is just a simple command that says print out, write a well-formatted string, and then it takes a argument. So here we want to print a integer, and we want to print argc. So if we go and compile this, test.c to test, we can see that there's one argument, 2 arguments, 3 arguments, or 3 arguments. So the reason there's one argument is for if we do a loop to print out all the arguments, I greater than argc printf argv so I and then argv I. The reason is that the very first argument is always the name of the program. So this is how certain programs can change their behaviors if they are renamed. It's not something you typically see. Wow, I can't code because I forgot a semicolon. I've been out of work for a while, so again, it's been easier said than done to do some of this. What did I, oh, right, and then I++. So if we do that, oh, Also, remember to always initialize your variables. Bad things will happen if you don't. So int arg is should be less than, because I love coding in C. So you can see that the first argument was test. This is how I invoked it. So if I do something like that, you can see it becomes the full path. Argument 1 is 22, and then so forth, and so forth, and so forth. So that's how arguments work. So what we can see if we go back to the disassembly is that it is reading, it gets the length of the first string. So it wants to know how long the string, how long the words are. It wants to know how long the first string is. It adds 1, so it so this is, let's rename it. So this is length of argv. That was not what was supposed to happen. Undo, please. Okay, so we go to rename variable. Okay, length argv, maybe it didn't like the underscore. No, it just goes completely bonkers whenever I do that.
And remember, this is government quality software.
Well, no, as long as I click on main, it's fine. So then it adds 1 here. And what it's doing is it adds -1. So what we want to do is we want to know what arg6. So this, what I'm doing is a technique here called stack analysis, is I'm trying to figure out basically what it does by disassembling the code and working with it. This is not my preferred technique. What I prefer to do is I prefer to attach a debugger and play with it, but that requires a lot more intimate knowledge that we'll get to at a different point. So we take arg6, we add argv to it. So it's, oh, it subtracts 1 because Sterling adds 1 for the null character. So then it takes that, adds 1, and then if not equal to, okay, so this is doing a little trickery here. If I understand the code correctly, it takes it wants the letter, adds to itself. So basically what it does is it's calculating a value based off the length, and why am I'm apparently going, when in doubt, active analysis is always an end. So if we do break main run, because this is the way I normally do it, is because then you can see exactly what it's doing as you play with GDB. But obviously, I am not as smart as I think I am. Here. So it basically is determining, take argc, so we take 16, we subtract 1, so we rename, so argv minus 1. I almost never use camel case, but amusingly, this program actually has a vulnerability in it, because you can technically pass in a non-null terminated argument and it would cause this program to crash. So there's that. Okay, so argument -1. So puts, like, parts of the way I do is, like, I like to change binaries. I like to look at various behaviors. So if we go back to our terminal. do race cars. So what it wants does not equal a slash v minus 1. I think it wants 46 slashes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. See, that doesn't seem right to me. Because this keeps getting longer, that one doesn't. And weird as debugger, I've had a lot of issues with over the pages. And Cell is probably looking at this like, I know exactly what you need to type. So arg. So
I get the feeling that you might have confused argc with argv.
No, argc is the first one.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I did that right.
You're subtracting from argv.
Yeah, see, argc is right here, and then it's argv. Yeah, no, I checked that because this didn't look right to me, but no, that's actually the way you do
it. It's trying to look for whatever character is immediately before the first argument, right?
Oh, you know what? You're right. That is what it's doing. No, that's looking for a string length because remember this is because it's an array. The first address would be a valid string. So if you do Sterling this, so the first one here, I'll show exactly what it's doing here. So if I were to go, hold on, I should still have the VC code window open. So printf, and just for the I'm doing this for demonstration. Never write code like this. This is a security vulnerability right here, what I'm writing. So sometimes when you get stuck rewriting the reverse engineered code, that's sort of what I'm thinking. Sturdeye22 Patil from the Twitch chat. So if we do that, gcq test.c out test. Oh yeah, you know what? First, it helps if I include string.h. Now, why were you complaining? Invalid argument. Oh, right, that should be argv, not argc. So that should work because technically this should be declared like my C is very rusty. Oh, wrong program. I need my test program. And I managed to fake fault it. Yeah, okay. Maybe I shouldn't trust this assembly here. Let me look at or trust the decompile. Let me look at this assembly. So it pushes argv is along, pushes it through. Yeah, no, it's just pushing argv straight across. But why would you declare it? I guess technically it would be long.
It's compiled for x64, right?
Yeah, that actually does make sense.
Yeah.
So that would be the valid way of doing it. But that would get the first argument. So looking at that. Sterling, because that would get the name of the binary. Because okay, there's actually an easy way to check this is if we do race cars break Sterling, I can see what it's doing. And then backtrace. Because I can actually see the argument coming in to Sterling. So print if if I had debugging symbols installed. I don't. Disassemble, where are we? Because it should have gone past it on the stack. Yeah, I'm nowhere near as smart as I think. Brackets. Open brackets. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure people are having fun watching me make an idiot of myself. Okay. Use our hard up. Yeah. Let's see here. Incompatible pointer type, expected. But, I'm going to look this up just because I am going completely spare. What is the standard? Okay, so here's the standard definition of what it should be. Most of the program I do these days is in Python, which is why my C has probably atrophied to just about nothing.
So our website's static site generator is written in Python too. Well, Python also. It's written in Python also. It's not written in Python 2.
Okay, no, okay, we've got this figured out. Okay, so yeah, it was a problem with the prototype. So what this is doing, like I said, sometimes working it out with code. So let me explain what I just did. So once I fix the declaration prototype, what you get is a pointer to a pointer, or a pointer to an array. And a way an array is ran out in memory is kind of like element 1, element 2, element 3. But when you have strings, you have just pointers. So if you just look at the first, the base address of an array, you get the first string. And as I showed when I did the little demonstration program, that becomes the name used to invoke it. So if we rename test to thingy, you can see that arg0 is thingy. So what it specifically wants is the length of the race car. So if we go back to here, so what this actually is let's rename this. So call this bin name length. Let me just try underscores again because I prefer them. Name length. So again, it goes all crazy, but then, okay, cool, that works. So we get the length, then it subtracts 1 from the length, and then assigns it to a new address. Let's see, what else is this used for? So this is used to, okay, so this is then the original. So this makes a backup. So now we're getting somewhere. So orig length. God, that is really annoying that it keeps jumping around like that. So now we see that this code starts to make more sense. So then it starts doing this loop where it, let's see here, so it adds 1. Okay, so it's ignoring path separators. That's what this is doing, this backslash. So it basically wants, I'm just trying to figure out what exactly it wants. So, like I said, when in doubt, a C compiler is your friend. So, like I said, there are people that would be able to look at this code and tell me exactly what I'm doing and what it does in about 3 seconds. I don't know why I keep going to nano. So since we have the decompile here, we can yeah, let's grab int bin name length equal Sterling argv. Okay. And just because I'm OCD about it, I need to have my code properly formatted. So, and then this will also be original. So what we're looking for is printf .d/n. This is the length it's looking, which, as I understand it, is original length minus 1. And this begins to show you like the importance of code comments and so forth. Interestingly, reverse engineering actual malware is in some ways a little easier because while they may be obfuscated, so wait a minute, why did we get an original length that is 2? Hold on. That is not what I would expect to see here. So char, so let's get rid of the bits here that we don't actually need. So this is making a so the easier way to read this code by rewriting it is it's doing this. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I see what it is. So this is not original length. What this is doing is it is looking for okay, so you see how the first characters here are dot and slash? This is the prefix length to the end of the binary. So let's change this. So this is the prefix. So prefix to bin name. So if we do that, okay, so now what it does is while the prefix to bin length is less than the binary name, let me see here. Okay, if character long, I think it wants the bin name to, I think if I rename it to 1, it's going to work. Or wrong binary. Race cars. Ha, there. So, okay, let me explain how this works. So what the code is doing is it's reading in the name of its own binary. That's the argv0 selection. It then skips the first 2 strings. So it gets, so basically, let me open a notepad because this will be easier to explain. So if the binary name is called test, the way it's invoked is /test, that's basically length. It skips the first 2 and then saves the length. So length of argv0 would be 6, and then you subtract 2 for the lead in. Then it's doing comparison between the length and the binary name. So, and it's a little cleverer than I would give it credit for, because this should probably work if it was longer with longer names. But by renaming the binary to 1, the length of the binary and the name of the binary are one the same, and that's exactly what it wants, and returns 0. So that's how you do it in a nutshell.
So the first while loop is starting at the end of the string and working back, subtracting from the string length to get to the address where there's a first slash, and then it goes to the next while loop.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, it tripped me up. I'll be honest. This was not the easiest for number 2. That was a little bit more complicated because a lot of like the really easy ones, you have to find an if statement or value in memory. This one, I had to sit and play with the code for a bit. So, so how many? Wow, we've got quite a lot of number of people in chat now.
Yeah.
So, let's see here. Let me sit up here. So, first, let me ask: are there any questions either here on Zoom or on Twitch? Going once, going twice. Yep, no problem. I'm happy to do other reverse engineering or similar sessions. Obviously, I'm not an expert at it because, like I said, there are people that would do that in about 3 seconds. I can also show how to see here. Man, I've got a lot of tabs open. Do basic network reconnaissance and so forth, like using mmap to help probe a network.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, isn't there a button to minimize all? Okay, I don't think I have any personal information currently visible on screen, or at least I really hope I don't.
You got a nice background.
Yeah, it's actually a bit of fan art from Rebuild of Evangelion 2.0.
Oh, cool.
Yep,
I just finished watching the Netflix Evangelion, the one with the terrible ending.
Right, now you need to watch End of Evangelion and then get the drugs out. That's the correct thing.
Congratulations, you win. Congratulations, you win.
That sounds that sounds oddly familiar. Like, huh?
Yeah, it should.
It's like listening to a CERN daily briefing. It's like, or is that too soon? So anyway,
yeah, if you want to present in May for reverse engineering or whatever, totally just shoot an email and
well, we still got a lot of people in chat. I don't think there's a lot of people that I don't think anyone's really doing anything. I can do another type of reverse, network surveillance. I need a victim of some sort. Like, I would need a machine I can run mmap and friends against.
I can probably get you that.
Are you just going to install like RHEL or something?
What are you doing? What are you doing besides nmap? How far are you going with this?
I can show how to pop a box. I mean, I've done it.
Okay.
The problem is I let my hack the box subscription lapse. So at the moment, and they have a no spoilers policy on their active boxes, so I can't do their old ones. Interested in working mmap and friends. All right, let me see if I can find an easy mmap challenge. Pen test, or let's see here, CTF challenge, easy VM. Because again, I don't have Kali set up, so I'm a little limited in what I can and can't do. So let's see if we can. Let's grab this VM. Okay. Actually, I might have. Do I have Kali installed on the laptop? The answer is no, I don't have Kali installed on the laptop. I should. Oh, no, that's right. I took Kali off because I was running out of disk space of all things. I was doing a lot of video editing, and that's why we have the Kali. Wow, that's a lot of noise. So we're going to let that download. That's going to take 5 minutes to download. Let me just look at the tools that's going to need. And because again, no Kali, which means, and Kali is a multi-gigabyte download. I'm not going to, okay, so this is a PHP backdoor and a kernel root escalation. So, okay, you know what? We're going to try. We're going to try this one. Let me see if I can actually get Metasploit installed. It'll be an older one. Is Metasploit available in Ubuntu repos?
Oh, it should be.
It might not be because Metasploit updates so frequently that they may have requested that Debian take it off.
Wouldn't be surprised if there was a PPA or something.
Yeah, there's probably a PPA for it. So,
I mean, it's supported in Arch. But,
yes, but some of us actually like to use our computer and not spend all the time just doing updates.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Metasploit installation
I
instructions.
might be bouncing out in a little bit just because all my batteries are starting to run low.
You need more batteries.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Here, what I'll do is I'm just going to grab a Kali Linux VM.
I'm
Let's just grab Kali. Let's see if they have a relatively small one I can download. I don't use Docker. I've had some really bad. There's a lot of reasons why I don't like using Docker, especially for something like Kali, because it doesn't give a realistic experience. These are all. Oh, here we go. VirtualBox. Wait a minute. Why is the VM image? The VMware image is 1.2 gigs.
Yeah.
And
welcome to developing a live OS.
Okay. And that's going to take over an hour to download. So while we download that, we could do something somewhat amusing. I do have Oregon Trail and an Apple II emulator if anyone wants to see how 201 crew would die horribly. Any takers?
Oh,
what version of Oregon Trail?
For the Apple II.
Ooh, the old one. Yeah, still had to do it.
Okay.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna die of dysentery.
All right, we're doing this.
I'm gonna be popping out a little bit.
This became a thing we were doing. While this downloads, what we might do is I'm trying to convince the powers that be to do these talks more often, or we might do this in May. So let's turn it on. Man, I am suddenly reliving my childhood.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so let's travel the trail. So many people kinds of people made the trip to Oregon. We can be a banker from Boston, a carpenter from Idaho, or a farmer from Illinois. So I'll give the chat a moment to decide, and if not, I will decide for them. Traveling to Oregon isn't easy. If you're a banker, you'll have more money for supplies and services than a carpenter.
We're still recording on my computer.
Yep. Oh, is Side Pocket come home? So, you know what? We're going to be the we'll just be the banker from Boston because that feels appropriate in this. So I'll be the leader of this wagon. We have Jack. We have Side Pocket. Oh, he doesn't quite fit. So we'll call him Side Pocket. We have Cell. And who am I forgetting? Squirtle. There is no possible way this could end well. So now we're going back to 1804. We're going to leave in April. Okay, so we have a bunch of money. We don't have to spend it now. God, we're playing Oregon Trail while waiting for Kali to download. This is off to a great time. So what should we grab? So I say, I will grab 3 yolk, and then we will grab, let's see here. I'd like to grab a lot of food, so I like to grab 1,000. We can supplement it with meat and such as we go along. Clothing, spare parts you really want to max out. So let's grab 15 sets of clothing because a lot of clothing will get traded as we go along. We want a full set of bullets because, Second Amendment. So I think 99 was the limit. Or close enough. And spare parts. And I believe 3 was, yeah, we can only carry 3 of each. So, okay. think that's everything we need. Well, good luck. You're going to have a long and difficult journey. Yeah, especially because I'm running this show. Okay, it's now loading the wagon. It doesn't feel right without the old school. Where's the sound? There should be sound with this. Oh, here we go. Let's see here. Wow, that's a sound. I suddenly regret asking for sound. Wow, that was incredibly bad. That was really bad. Okay, so I'm going to just keep us on a normal pace. Or you know what, we'll actually go with a strenuous pace just because I want people to die. And we will continue on the trail. Okay. So I don't remember what the first stop is. From Independence, it's 102 miles to Kansas. No. I got to kill that sound. That is like drunk sound. So Side Pocket has a fever. Woohoo! We're on day 1 and Side Pocket is already dying. So, okay. So we're slowly making our way to the first river crossing. Okay. Going about 40 miles. Let's see here. How is our party holding up? Okay. Yes, we would like to look at the Kansas River crossing. Look around. Kansas River crossing. Let's see here. So how are... You can talk to people to get advice and learn historical information. I never used to do this as a kid. Can't afford to take a ferry. We're turning our wagon into a boat. That is not a good plan. Usually, if there's a ferry crossing, you will take the ferry crossing or bad things will happen. So, looking at the map, see, we've already gone a little bit. So, dear God, I am literally reliving my childhood here. So you must cross the river continue. The river at this point is 630 feet across and 5 feet deep in the middle. Yeah, we're taking the ferry. The ferry can actually capsize, but let's see here. Okay. So time is passing. Time is still passing. Are we going to make it? Are we going to make it? Samir's just running really, really slow. Oh, we're almost. Yay, we made it. You know, a few years ago, I drove all the way across the United States along the Oregon Trail. So it was more than a little interesting. So we're 10 days in the journey. Side Pocket has a fever. And then we continue on to the Big Blue River crossing. So then they continue. Yeah, it's like, I don't remember it being this jerky. Oh, we lost the trail and lost 4 days. 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm probably losing people. Okay. The network download is finished. Come on. Let's see here. No, we're just going to cross the river. Okay. It is currently 235 feet across and 3.5 in the middle. That might be fordable, but all right, we're going to try and ford the river. You know what? No, I'm going to wait 1 day because I usually want less than 2 feet to try and. All right, we're going to try and ford. Maybe. Yeah, it has to be under 3 feet for it to work at all. Haha. Yes. God, that never worked as a kid. The supplies got wet. We lost a day. We're still okay. Okay. Just gonna look at the Zoom chat. It's just me, Squirtle, and Jack. So, yeah, just looking at the Twitch chat, how many folks do we still have here? Wow, we actually have a lot of people in the Twitch chat. You pass a grave site. Would you like to look closer? Okay, we'll look. Let's see here. Pepperoni and cheese. Apparently, these images were used. All right, Andy. That was another great part of the childhood, was going through and finding all the other grave markers of people that died on the Oregon Trail. Let's see here. I don't think we need anything, so we're just going to keep going. Let's see here. So Chimney Rock is the next landmark. The health is good. Side pocket hasn't died. Yeah, let's try and repair this. Oh, cool. We were able to repair the wheel. We have spares, so we're fine. Food, we're going to have to go hunting in a little bit, but I'm going to wait until May to do so, because there is a limit. One of the oxen is injured. Like, if anyone else wants to take over for making content while I'm waiting for things to download, so be it.
Okay, I actually
Or
do have
if we want to pick this up next week.
I do have content. I do have like my kind of like half forensics talk.
I hear voices in the background. I don't know if they're actually saying anything.
No, it's Jack.
Jack, you got a broken arm.
Oh. Yeah, thanks. So I'm saying I actually do have content. That's
Yeah, we hear Jack. Okay. Let's go to Chimney Rock. We'll look around. Let's see here. And, we'll train. Let's see here. Yeah, no, we're going to continue. It's hot. So it's 83 to the next fort. Now, if we size up the situation, we should be able to go hunting. Come on. Enter. Return. There we go. Hunt for food. Okay, spacebar. Wow, it took me a while to remember the controls for this are. Come on. Something show up. There we go. Now, how did you, there used to, was there a key combo or something to get out? I'm trying to remember how do you leave the hunting game? I'm pressing every key and nothing's happening. I'm not going to Google this, because if I have to Google the, fine, Oregon Trail, how do you leave hunting? Oh, here's the instructions. Point the red, oh, it's enter key fired the bullet, didn't it? And then I paused the, this is going great. This really is. There is so much technical difficulty. How do I unpause the VM? No, I don't want to reboot.
I just love that you're running an Apple emulator for Windows and Linux.
All right, guys, I think I might call it here just because I think it might be that time.
All right, guys. Thanks for showing up.
All right. this is me. Next time we can go more in depth into hacking. I'll have Callie and such set up. But at least I need a break, so I'm gonna release the screen share and oh come on, really, I'm really going to have trouble releasing screen sharing now. I want to stop share. I'll release this. If anyone else wants to take over, be my guest. Am I going to
There you go.
view options, exit full screen? Okay. I'll be back in a moment.
So, is anybody here? Me. Windows. All right, let me see if I can go find that Twitch. All right, so does anybody want to see a basic intro to forensics talk? Just basically open source forensics tools. Is any? All right, you get one person for this one. So let me kind of drag this one over here. Share screen. Format slides, slideshow, start with the first slide. What the? All right, so format slideshow. Oh, just as LibreOffice decides. All right, we'll do it like this. All right, so here we go. Forensics from scavenged hard disks. Next, what you need, basically computer running Linux, should be powerful, but need free disk space, at least twice that of a drive to be imaged. You don't want to run out of space. Be pulling stuff off of this. For travel laptop arrangement, USB RAID arrays are economical and pragmatical. Disable auto mounting of inserted disks. If you're using GNOME, you can do this disk command here. There's options in other desktop environments with auto mount. USB to SATA or whatever other adapter you're using. What you need, you also need a hard disk. You're going to pull this one's actually was pulled out of a computer, just found down the street. I've blanked out the serial numbers because you really don't want to be sharing content here. Physical recovery. A hard disk, first of all, you need access. Right here, you need access to the hard disk. There's second, you need to make an image of the disk, and then using that image, you're going to search. You can pull off all the files and all the data. And the fourth step is then you're going to analyze whatever is in that information. And fifth, finally, like once you have analysis, you're going to generate a report of what you found. Those 5 steps essentially. Render hard disk and state that it can be plugged into a USB adapter. This one's simple. Either procure, physically recover the hard disk. If you're doing this professionally in any sort of capacity, whatever agency or company will give you the steps of how to do this if it's being used as evidence or somehow whatever special handling instructions. 2 options: either you pull the hard disk out completely, you place it in a caddy, or you connect to it in place using a little USB adapter. I have one of each. So it really depends on, again, kind of how you're recovering this. If you're just doing practice, it doesn't really matter. So once you have the physical recovery done, you take a disk image. There's a few ways of doing this. One, disk utility is built into GNOME. It can be anything. There's a tool called Geimager, which is actually a dedicated forensic utility that it's a FOSS tool. It also most notably does the encase format. So again, if you're doing this professionally, you probably can need to use encase, which among other things supports metadata about forensics, and it also does compression. Last but not least, if not as worth, Unix DD command. So this is what GNOME disk utility works. It's just what's it called? You just scroll down here. Like I said, create disk image here, and it'll ask you where you want to save the image, and bam, you'll have a disk image. This is Geimager. As few owners, you can see kind of like my awesome battleship station. So it's just like, again, you kind of like right click and it'll ask you to take an image. I didn't get into the details here, but there's menus. You can actually fill out the encase forms. Like it'll ask you for a case number, investigator name, kind of like all the metadata. DD, DD, IF, block device, OF file name. Use this value, doesn't have to be 128, but something, a decent value, because the default one's buffer size is 512 bytes, which will actually slow down. So you want it to have like at least several kilobytes. I use 128 kilobyte buffer size. Anything bigger is not really going to hurt anything. Then I use status progress because DD is pretty Spartan. It'll just hang. So if you're running GNU DD, it'll actually print status output. Block device and file name is appropriate. This is, use lsblk or one of those, what's it called, the message, one of those to find out what the name of the block device is here. And then just use chown to just put the image back as user. So when you're done here, unplug USB adapter, put the disk away. You're done. From right here, now you're done with the physical disk. So everything here, you have an exact copy of the disk. You didn't change any of. You didn't change. If you did this correctly, you didn't change any of the times on any of the files. You didn't touch any of the inodes. This is a complete file. So now you can get to go screw around with everything from your image, and you still have a complete. The original is still untouched, which is important. If you actually have to do this professionally, or even if not, if you make a mistake, you can always go back and re-image, start over again. So it gives you that. There's a lot of good reasons why you just don't do this step. Check for file system. Against this, you can use fdisk, GNOME disk, gparted. You could always. Jesus Christ, man.
Yo, stop being rude and disgusting.
Sorry,
Okay.
I didn't realize I was unmuted.
Okay, so yeah. So first thing you want to do is you want to check to make sure there's a file system on this thing. There's a few ways you can do this. Just the basic tools. Attach image with no disks. If you caught a peek earlier, so there's no disk. You can just attach a disk image. Advanced partition recovery. If you see a partition, you can skip with an actual file system. You can skip this step, at least for now, because what you're doing here is just making sure it's a file system. If a file system comes up, you can just more or less most of the time dump the files. And then run on delete tool and you're good. Sometimes you actually go fish for a partition. Use tools to see if there's a hidden damage partition data, and to use recovery tools to get this data. So another one is Unix tools. DD. A lot of this is almost very similar to what we saw reverse engineering earlier. Unix text tools, DD cat string, aux. You can do like a strings, and like something like enter 12 to see if like anything in just human language shows up in the terminal. You can cat what's it called, the image, to see if it kind of looks like binary data, or if it kind of like again English. There's a few ways you can do this. Yara is a heuristics engine. You can look for very specific data. If you like real any Yara-foo or awk or like whatever. If you have serious patients, you can use a hex editor, but multi-gigabyte, if not tens of terabyte size file, and you needle in a haystack using like a conventional text editor is possible, though. Really is possible. Recovery disk tools, test disk, gparted, all have abilities to go look for more automated ways to look for hidden partitions. in the very least, if they can't recover them, we'll give you an offset of where the partition starts. And then there's binwalk again, which is more of a reverse engineering tool. You can use this on what you call it. This is actually designed for things like EXEs, which have embedded files in them. You can use this on drive images. It's just a lot of data out there. I mean, really read the man page on this one and kind of, you want to dump the list of potential file start locations to to a text file and just kind of go through them. So you can use binwalk will give you a start location. You can use DD you can do a skip and then be a byte size and then count with DD. Just read the man page on this one right here. If you can use binwalk and DD to just kind of carve out files or carve out a partition like the hard way if you can't get it with test disk or gparted. So again, some strings usage. Strings, just see bits of words and bytes. Cat file name, or you can just do DDIF file name with no other data. It'll null bytes won't print. So if it goes the entire file and just returns to a prompt, it's 0. It's completely wiped. Most of the time, you very rarely see things that are completely wiped. It should also be noted here that if you deleted something in any other operating system besides OpenBSD, it's still going to be on the disk. It'll still show up here. It's just not going to. It's just not going to show up in the file system. It's just delinked. But for what we're doing, it's not going to matter. It'll show up anyway. It'll be carved. So sometimes instead of sometimes a lot of disks absolutely ship new. They have test patterns. So it'll be like numbers, letters, alphabet symbols, and you'll see patterns scroll in your terminal. That's not recoverable data. It's a test pattern. It might be the entire alphabet in order. It might be all the bytes in order. Stuff like that. That's not actual data. Real data will just look like random, like true random characters. It'll look like binary data, and then some actual strings will look like human language words thrown in. Disk encryption, the whole disk or parts of a self-made encryption. If you can detect encryption, again, it looks binary, but you're not getting any file systems. Maybe it's encrypted, maybe it's not. You can use John the Ripper hashcat to recover passwords. Zooecrypt, you can use this to mount. I'll get into this little to add more to this talk. It's kind of incomplete. Check for hidden partitions, test disk, gparted. You can test to see if the partition has a serious offset. Pull files out of the deep. Let's say there's no partition information. That got wiped, but there's still files on the hard disk. Like I've actually encountered this. Pulled the world's worst pop punk album off a disk with Foremost in binwalk. This will have you here all day. This will take a long time. But it will tell you anything that kind of looks like a file will be with binwalk. Bulk extractor is another carver. Looks for patterns, not inodes. Scrounge NTFS if you have an offset. You type in scrounge NTFS, what's called the file name or block device name, and then start sector, stop sector, and then size or start sector. If you get this from test disk binwalk or whatever, you can get where the start is. There's also X to 3 grep, fat cat, fat magic, and all these other things to play around with this. The usual search pattern and tools, grep, yara, find, locate, Unix, and then of course autopsy. What's it called? Autopsy. The big one here as far as like analysis goes. So if you've got like a whole bunch of files, or if you have like already have a partition made partition. So if you already have like a partition, good, and it's mounted, you found a partition, and you can actually get the file system information. Just go right to autopsy. Don't waste your time with this one really. Just pull it out right with autopsy, because autopsy will do everything. What's it called? Forensic case management software. This does everything. It's open source. Again, it's written in Java, like Gahidra. It has much of the same problems as far as memory consumption and reliability. It can work on VMs, images, files, and directory. Lots of plugins. You can all kinds of plugins for this. It's free open source, big heavy Java app. Runs on Linux. Designed for Windows because it's Java with the Java FX package. It runs in Windows. Runs with Java with JRE8. Here's, it should also be mentioned there's another program called the Sleuth Kit, which is mostly command line. The Sleuth Kit, and Autopsy is more of a front end with a really, really, really nice GUI. So you can just like git clone these into the Python modules folder, and then they'll all just show up. So before you go, you want to, there's some what's it called, autopsy settings that you should really know. This one's here, and this, you go to settings, and then you have ingest module, and then you kind of want to increase the number of threads, like as appropriate, because the default ones are kind of weak. If you have a relatively powerful computer, some of these will definitely speed things up a little bit. As the ingest can run for days. You could add more money to the to Java virtual machine. Mostly because, like I said, I have 64 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, be a little generous here. Speed things up when you're doing like an ingest. So again, ingest, you want to leaf through these. Some of these, like Plazo, aren't enabled because you need to program and you just set up configuration options. Some of them will just run. So before you set this up, you kind of want to go through these, and you want to take a careful look at all of their options, which show up over here, and make sure they're set up correctly. So some of these call external modules, make sure they're set up. Another cool thing you can do with Autopsy is interesting files, right? Because you can say rule sets. For example, you can put like a rule, and you can put like a path. Use what's it called, either globs or Unix globs or even regex to have like a match rule for either the file name, and then you can add file types, right? You can just add, these are just like MIME types. These are literally just MIME types. So you can have an either and or, and just say, I want like this type of file with this type of name, and it will just, you'll have a custom view of just that. It'll show you all those files. So this is interesting. You can see this person added some custom ones for source code, password key rings. These ones are key pass files and user account files. So it'll pull the Microsoft SAM file, system file, Etsy password, Etsy shadow. All the good stuff you'll probably need for further analysis later on, and it'll just, in addition to all like the documents, these will show up. The cool thing about like network capture is sometimes memory dumps are also misidentified as network captures. So, so that becomes interesting because now you can further use things like volatility or other analysis tools on those. That's not covered in this talk. This talk is relatively basic. Or I haven't gotten towards the end where you kind of do analysis on files pulled out. So new case information, I generally go by size of the hard disk where it was found, basically where you want to store it. Case information, the discriminant doesn't matter unless you're law enforcement, otherwise doing this professionally. Otherwise, you just fill whatever the fuck you want there. But like I said, if you're actually doing this professionally and then you have case information or like whatever, and like I said earlier, you can import a disk image directly, or even just start for virtual machine. If you pull the virtual machine, you can take a local disk directly. Not recommended. It's recommended you actually take a disk image first. If there's a whole bunch of logical files, if you just use some other utility and carve files from a carve files from a hard disk, you can use those. You have empty space, you can use that empty space. So there's a few interesting options here. If you're using EO1 format, in case format, you can put in the hash values and it'll check them to make sure it's authentic. So that run our ingest, again, before, like earlier in the config, you can run at runtime, you can go double check all of these, make sure that the options you want. Adding more threads and RAM will speed this up. As you saw on the first slide, this might take a while, days. I mean, you just need somewhere you can just let this run picking through data, process data, because once it's finished running, you'll see something like this. Up here in data sources, you'll see, if you expand this, you'll see a directory tree of all the files. Here we have those user accounts, source codes, as seen earlier. So here is extracted content. It'll automatically parse the content. SAM, what you call the shell bags, it'll tell you more analysis of the SAM file. What's it called? There's a few of these. File types will give you by MIME types if you want the videos or the audio or whatever. This is a built-in media viewer. I'm not going to show you this directly, mostly because this actually has some live information. But the keyword hits, it will give, you can actually specify a keyword search, like if you want to just start searching like, phrase or regular expression. But you can also pull the email addresses, find what files have an email address, IP addresses. What files have phone numbers and URLs. Not as as interesting as I think. Credit cards, again, not as interesting as I think. It's just a regex search, so all kinds of false positives. But if you really want to see like things, you can go to like web downloads, web autofill, and web history and web search. Like these here will show you like most of a lot of the shit that kind of this person was going through. Okay. For some reason, all right. So that's where the slides left off. And that's basically where. That's the last slide. So let's actually talk a little more about what I didn't cover yet, because I wrote the slides, but for whatever reason they didn't save. So here, if you open up here, there's you'll have a viewer with, you can leaf through images and videos. Here, this one, I've never really gotten this one to work. Should pull up all their emails and instant messages. But a lot of times here, if it detects like user contact detected, sometimes you could go through various so like what you have here is there's like what you can do is like on the right panel you can what case can find Unix text tools for scenario? So a lot of times with mostly Unix text tools, you're more looking to see if data exists before you try doing like spending a lot of time trying to recover non-existent data. That's a lot of what that scenario is. But from here, what you further doing is you kind of start exporting like all the interesting looking files. Once you finish exporting the interesting looking files, then you can do further analysis on those files. There's a feature that you can tag files. So like once you finish tagging the files, you can have autopsy generate a report. You probably want to include the report log manually your file because you can export files. You might find encrypted files. You might want to further crack those with John, with John the Ripper or Hashcat. Sometimes you'll get like database files or files with like Skype message, like people's like instant messages or emails or whatever that's not included in the communications, or it's not auto starved, and you use tools to find more data that way. So a lot of times you wind up doing specialized tools against the recycle bin info, special tools. There's a lot of weird like special files you can pull out, like the recycle bin. Various applications have DB. Another one to use is I'll actually show you in here. Lovely.
So would you.
Thank you. So, oh, what the hell was this? I had SQL. Where the hell was this? All right, so there's SQLite analysis tools. I know I had one that an SQL tool that was you could just open an SQLite database file and just like arbitrarily open it. All right, well, I'm having trouble finding that one, so that's what I have. So, you guys ready to call it a night? I'm ready to call it a night. Guys?
I was still muted. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys ready to call?
Wait, listening to you.
All right, you guys ready to call it a night?
Yeah, we don't need to go on to 12.
Oh, but calling on to 12 is so much fun.
All right, guys, I'm logging off. I'm stopping the recording.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I guess that's that.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one, Jack.
You too, Jack. Bye-bye.